So today we are going to talk about interfaces in Java. Let's talk about interfaces in Java. So today we are going to talk about interfaces in Java. So what is the interface? Like a class, an interface can have a methods and variables. What it have? It have a methods and variables. So but the methods declared in an interface are by default abstract. Only method signature, no body. Whatever the methods you define in this interface doesn't have any implementation. Only those are default methods. So interfaces specify what a class must do and not how. Like what interfaces specify what a class must do. Like if you implement any class, it will define specific requirements what class needs to implement and not how. It doesn't show how to implement that methods. It just said these are the requirements to the class and it needs to implement, but not it's not showing any things how to implement those methods, all the stuff, all that kind of thing. So it is the blueprint of the class. An interface is about capabilities. Like a player may be an interface, and any class implementing player must be able to move. So, an interface is about capabilities like a player. So, maybe an interface and any class implementing player must be able to move method. So, it specifies a set of methods that the class has to implement. So, if you take any class, it have the interface player. So it have some methods. Player have a methods move and some methods are goal, like that. So just it will show what methods it needs to implement. So if a class implements an interface and doesn't provide method bodies for all functions specified in the interface, then the class must be declared as abstract. So, if a class implements an interface and doesn't provide method bodies, if any class interface is there, so this one, if any class, what are the interface, what the keyword is there, any class uses implementing the methods in the interface, it needs to be extended by the keyword implements. So whatever the class implements this interface, it doesn't provide the method bodies for all functions specified in the interface, then the class must be declared as abstract. So what is the rule in the interface means whatever the class implements the interface, it must implement all the methods in interface. Otherwise, it needs to be declared as a abstract class. So that is the one of the point. And a Java library example is a comparator interface. So if a class implements this interface, then it can be used to sort a collection. So Java library, we have a Java library is there, and it have some interfaces there. You already know that. What is that? Comparator interface. So that is a interface, comparator interface. So if a class implements this interface, then it can be used to sort a collection. Whatever the class implements, it, like implements this comparator, it will give the sort method. So how what the sort is doing? Sort the collection of objects or sort the collection of variables or like that. So this is the interface. So interface have a methods and variables, and all the methods are default, abstract, only method signature and no body. So it will defaultly abstract methods. Abs Defaultly abstract methods, variables, and the player is an interface. Then the methods are move and goal. And if the class provides an implementation for the interface, it must implement all the methods in the interface. If any class doesn't implement those methods, then it will define as an abstract class. A Java library example is comparator interface. We already see the comparator interface in a, like set and tree set and sorted set, like that. There is a comparator interface and comparable interface. Comparable, what it is for? Comparable is for the default natural sorting order, and comparator is meant for customized sorting order. So in comparable, there is a compare to method is there, and here equals and compare method is there. Compare method, we need to provide the implementation comparator interface. So that is used for the sort, like a collection. So what is the interface? How to define an interface? So you just you can just declare an interface like that. Interface, in interface name you have a some interface animal. So animal, like that. And in this you can declare some methods, like it's already like defaultly abstract, right? That one we can void, public void, animal means like public void bark, right? Or sound, like bark is belongs to the dog, right? So any animal makes some sounds, so that one is there. And public void color. So every animal have a color, right? So this is the way of interface. So if any class implements the interface, it needs to be provide some implementation of these sound and color methods. Like these are abstract methods. So suppose class, we are taking the dog class, and it needs to implement animal interface, right? So here you need to provide an implementation. Public void sound, and sound means it is a string kind of thing, string a. And you need to what you return, it needs to be return something. Like a return string means you can like just give a string and return. So whatever the thing you passed over here in the method, dog dot sound of whatever that one, that will give return a. It needs to be give the return a. That is the thing, it needs to be given. So this dog class implements an animal. So here public void sound, big a, return a. So to declare an interface, use interface keyword, right? We already know that it is used to provide total abstraction. That means all the methods in an interface are declared with an empty body and are public and all fields are public because you know already. So whatever the fields in interface, it needs to be public. Public means it will accessible in anywhere, because if anyone wants to implement the interface, it needs to be public, otherwise it's very difficult to get these fields in any other class, right? So that is the thing. So that means all the methods in an interface are declared with an empty body and are public, and all fields are public, static, and final by default. So, whatever the methods are, like in interface, are declared with an empty body and are public, and fields are public, static, and final by default. So, methods are public, and the string, the constants, like there is some name is there and it needs to be some constant, it can't change. Some name is a flower, right? And what it is, we can't change it. It's defaultly public, static, final. So public, static, final. Static means it can only accessed by using the class name, that's it. So, a class that implements an interface must implement all the methods declared in the interface. To implement interface, use implements keyword. Why we use the interface? The next thing, what are the use of the interface? It is used to achieve total abstraction. Since Java doesn't support multiple inheritance in case of class, but by using interface, it can achieve multiple inheritance. So we can achieve complete abstraction. The other one is Java doesn't support the multiple inheritance. One is support abstraction, and the other one is multiple inheritance. Like in Java, it doesn't support multiple inheritance. Suppose there is A class is there, B class is there, and there is another C class is there. So in C class extends A, it cannot able to extend the B as well, because in A class some method is there run and B class some method is run. If C extends A and B, in the C we create an object, and with that object we call the method run in parents classes. It will make get confused to get which method we need to execute, either A or B. So in Java, the multiple inheritance is not supported. For that we need to, in interface we can, the A can implement B and implement C as well. So that level multiple inheritance we can achieve it, and it is also used to achieve loose coupling. So it's not depending on any other things, it just loose coupling. Like it cannot combine with any other, like any contracting giving for the any other classes as well. It's whatever the class implemented, that one can use. The different classes, they are not restricted to other classes. So that one. An interface are used to implement abstraction. So the question arises, why use interface when we have the abstract classes? So like abstraction is also same thing. Whenever any class extends to abstract class, it needs to implement, right? So we can see that general interface, we see that, there is an interface player we have, and we have some field, like string equals to some name, and we have a method also, we can get it. Like um, the other one in the method is int sound, like that, the string sound. And filter none. So a simple interface, public static final int a equals to 0, public and abstract void display. A class that implements the interface. And we need to see this. So public void display and system.out.println flower. Test class t equal to new test class. So let's open the Eclipse, and here we can practice it. New new package. You can get it interface. Examples. And interface examples, we are creating the new class. Um, Example 1. So let's get down. Let's write the example over here. Interface interface flower. Interface flower. So interface is interface name and flower. Here we can declare some, like, variable over there, like color equals to pink. So this is a string, and this is a constant. Let me take it as a public. What will see this public? It's in like all default public, and let me take it as a private. So what it's showing? Legal modifier for the interface field flower color only public, static, and final can be permitted. No other one thing is are permitted. So by default it's a public, static, and final. So, and some method void display, void display, and uh, So okay, we'll see it later. Void display is the method is there, and this is defaultly this is by default public. It needs to be implemented, right? So class example1 implements display method, like implements the flower interface, and it needs to be what it's showing, must implement the inherited abstract method flower dot display. So you need to provide an implementation for that. So public void display public void display. Here we need to give the implementation system dot out dot println, and display means we can give the pink for this. So let's create an object for the example1 class. Example1 example1 x equals to new example ex equal to new example of example1. So we need to use this variable and we need to call that method ex dot, already showing the example1 method over there. So let's run this program now. You see that pink is coming. So in this way we can use an interface, and like this we have a lot of we can implement a lot of things, like we can override the methods, like we can take an examples, a real world examples like vehicles like bicycle, car or bike. They have a common functionalities are there, and bicycle etc implement these own functionalities, their own class in their own way. Generally first interface vehicle we can take and change gear, and we can give the int as an input, and some variable into variable as an input, and speed up is an into variable, and apply brakes also an into variable. So that is for the vehicle. We already talked about that for the vehicle, and suppose a class. And bicycle implements vehicle, some class bicycle is also some type of vehicle, right? That one implements the vehicle, and there is a two variables speed and gear. To change the gear, public void change gear int new gear, gear equals to new gear. So we are giving the variable over there. So public void change gear, and gear equals to new gear, and it already showing whatever the method we provide, the different implementation is already called override. So it is the example of implements interfaces examples showing the simple It's showing the override symbol, and same thing, public void speed up int increment speed equal to speed plus increment. We are giving the implementations for the methods here. Change gear, and the gear will go to the that gear, and whatever the local variables we defined in the bike speed and gear, so whatever the input we are giving, that one specifies for the local class, and to increase the speed as well. So public void apply brakes into decrement, so we need to print the states again. So bicycle bicycle everything we can giving the different type of inputs out there. And also from JDK 8 there is some provider of implementation is also there. This default implementation have special use and doesn't affect the intention behind interfaces. Suppose we need to add a new function and existing interface. Obviously the old code will not work for the classes implemented those new functions. So suppose we have an interface example is there, and we have an int variable final, and we have a method already display. It should be public. We can put this one as a default, and a class that implements the interface, and we can give in the same use the method there here. And another feature that will add in is the static methods in interfaces. We can call independently without an object. These methods are not inherited. So suppose if we implement any method in an interface that should be static, then that one is called with the interface name in1 dot display, like example one dot display method we can use it. So we can't create an instance for the interface can't be instantiated of interface, but we can make reference of it that refers to the object of its implementing class. Generally, we can't create instance. Interface can't be instantiated of interface, but we can make reference of that refers to the object of its implementing class. And a class can implement more than one interface. And also an interface can extend another interface, and or interfaces. There are also a lot of interfaces, but example one is there and example two is there. Example one can extend example b. So like that we can extend one interface can extend another interface like that. And the other one, all the methods are public and abstract, and all the methods are public, static, and final. It is used to achieve multiple inheritance, and it is used to achieve the loose coupling. And JDK 9 onwards, interface have static methods and a default, and private methods are there. Private static methods are also there. So these are the different type of concepts in interface. So we already see the default ones also there. Default, where is the default over here? Default method is there, and static methods are there, but static methods are called by the interface name. So in this way, this is an interface, and in interface a lot of things are there, like uh, you know abstract classes, nested interfaces, and Java interface methods, comparator interface in Java, abstract classes in Java. So let's discuss those are all interfaces the next class.